The limousine pulled up to the curb in front of a small-town diner, a place the Millionaire CEO, Ethan Walker, never thought he'd step foot in. He was used to boardrooms, five-star hotels and luxury offices high above the city. But on this cold, rainy afternoon, loneliness had driven him here, inside the diner. The scent of coffee and pie filled the air. Families chatted, laughter spilled across tables, and the warmth of connection reminded Ethan of everything he didn't have. His wealth could buy him anything, except love, except family. That's when it happened. A tiny voice broke through the clatter of dishes and soft hum of conversation. "Mister." Ethan turned, and there she was, a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, standing by his booth. Her brown curls were damp from the rain, and her small hand clutched a crumpled 50-dove bill. Her big, tearful eyes looked up at him with both fear and determination. "Here's 50 she said, holding it out with both hands. "I just need a dad for one day." Ethan froze. The entire diner seemed to fade into silence. He blinked, unsure if he'd heard her right. "I'm sorry, what?" he asked softly. The girl bit her lip, her voice trembling. "My school is having a dad and daughter day tomorrow. We get to bring our dads to class, but mine isn't around. I saved this money from birthdays and chores. Can you just pretend? Please." Her little hand shook as she held the bill out to him. Ethan's throat tightened. He looked around, expecting someone to rush in and explain it was a joke or mistake. But no one came. The girl stood alone, earnest, vulnerable, and heartbreakingly sincere. For the first time in years, the CEO who signed billion-dollar deals felt utterly speechless. He could have walked away. He could have politely refused. But something inside him cracked open. A memory long buried of his own childhood. A father who left, a boy who sat at the school event, watching other kids proudly show off their dads while his chair stayed empty. "I'll do it," Ethan whispered, his voice unsteady. "But not for 50. You keep that, okay?" The girl's eyes widened. "You mean it?" He nodded. "What's your name?" "Lily," she said with a shy smile. "All right, Lily," Ethan replied, his voice softening in a way it hadn't in years. "Tomorrow I'll be your dad." The next day, Ethan found himself in a brightly decorated elementary school classroom. Construction paper hearts covered the walls, little desks were pushed together, and children buzzed with excitement. Lily clung to his hand, introducing him to her friends with the pride of a child who finally belonged. "This is my dad," she announced. The words hit Ethan's chest like a thunderclap. My dad. For one fleeting day, he was exactly what she needed. They built paper airplanes, played board games, and shared snacks. Lily's laughter rang through the room, and Ethan realized he hadn't laughed so freely in decades. Her joy was contagious, pure, unfiltered, and healing. But then came the twist. At the end of the event, another parent, curious, maybe even a little suspicious, pulled Ethan aside. "So, how long have you been around? I've never seen you at the pick-ups or drop-offs," the man said casually. Before Ethan could answer, Lily tugged his sleeve. "It's okay," she whispered. "You don't have to explain. Just for today." The words nearly broke him. She knew this was temporary. She knew tomorrow he wouldn't be there. Yet she smiled as if this single day was enough to fill her empty heart. Ethan swallowed hard. For years he had thought money defined his worth. But in that moment he realized his presence, his kindness, his willingness to just show up, meant more than every dollar in his bank account. Too later that evening, Ethan drove Lily home. She lived in a modest apartment with her grandmother, who opened the door in surprise. "Mom," Ethan said gently, "Lily asked me to help today. I hope that was all right." The grandmother's eyes softened with gratitude. "You don't know how much that means to her," she whispered. "She's been through so much since her parents." She trailed off, shaking her head. Ethan nodded, words failing him. He knelt down to Lily's height. "You're an incredible girl, Lily. Don't ever forget that." Lily threw her arms around him in a hug so fierce it startled him. "Thank you for being my dad today," she whispered against his suit. Ethan hugged her back, blinking away tears he hadn't allowed himself to shed in years. Driving away, the city lights blurred through his windshield. For once, Ethan wasn't thinking about mergers, profits, or board meetings. He was thinking about Lily, about how 50 couldn't buy a father, but love, real, selfless love, could give a little girl the world, even if only for one day. That night, as he sat alone in his penthouse, Ethan picked up his phone. With a trembling hand, he dialed a number he hadn't called in years. his own estranged daughter, now grown, who he hadn't spoken to since his divorce. When her voice answered on the other end, shaky but familiar, Ethan's heart swelled. "Hey, it's Dad," he said. "I was wondering if we could talk." Sometimes life's biggest lessons come from the smallest voices. A little girl with 50D reminded a lonely millionaire that true wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in moments of kindness, love, and the courage to show up when someone needs you most. Because at the end of the day, being a dad, or simply being there for someone, has nothing to do with money, and everything to do with heart. Imagine a little girl standing alone in a diner, her hands shaking as she holds out a crumpled $50 bill. Her voice is small but full of hope as she says, "Here's $50, I just need a dad for one day." And the man she's speaking to, not a neighbor, not a family friend, but a lonely millionaire CEO, a man who thought he had everything except love. This is their story. It was a rainy afternoon when Ethan Walker, a wealthy but lonely CEO, stopped at a small-town diner. He wasn't there for the food. He was there because deep down he was tired of being alone. And that's when Lily appeared, 7 years old, rain-damp curls, eyes too wise for her age. "Mister, here's $50. I just need a dad for one day." Ethan's heart froze. A billionaire staring at a child offering him her life savings just for a chance to belong, and in that moment, something broke inside him. Something he didn't even know was still there. He could have refused. He could have walked away. But instead Ethan knelt down, smiled gently and said, "You keep your money. I'll do it. Tomorrow I'll be your dad." Lily's eyes lit up like fireworks. For the first time in years, Ethan saw what pure joy looked like. And just like that, a promise was made. The next morning, Ethan found himself in a colorful classroom filled with laughter, crayons, and little desks. "Everyone, this is my dad," Lily announced, proudly squeezing his hand. Ethan's chest tightened. Those words, "my dad," meant more to him than any business title he'd ever had. They built paper airplanes. They shared snacks. They laughed until their stomachs hurt. And for a few golden hours, Ethan wasn't a CEO. He wasn't a millionaire. He was simply someone's dad. But happiness has a way of testing us. At the end of the event, another parent asked casually, "So, how long have you been around? Haven't seen you before." Before Ethan could stumble through an answer, Lily tugged his sleeve and whispered, "It's okay, you don't have to explain. Just for today,